Yo, if you look at the picture of Matthew Sewell back in 2015 as they were heading to the Bahamian Supreme Court in Nassau, Bahamas, and he was laughing and walking with his attorney as they were being escorted by a Bahamian police officer, you would think, right, his lawyer was saying to him, "Don't worry, Matthew. We got this. And trust me, they're going to pay. And they're going to pay in the millions of the US dollars too. Just trust me." And Matthew laughed. You know what? I know he lost hope somewhere along the way because it took a long time. Today though, it came full circle. Nassau, Bahamas, CMC, a high court, has ordered the Bahamian authorities to pay 2 million US dollars to a 36-year-old Jamaican who has been wrongfully held on remand in prison for nearly 10 years. On remand for nearly 10 years, wrongfully. Shout out to Vibes Cartel. Vibes Cartel is back home. Shout out to all the people who rallied for him and who believed in the day that the day would come where he would be free. And to all those who are imprisoned wrongfully and you're fighting for your freedom, we salute you and we stand with you. We understand that prison is made for people who are truly guilty. We understand also that people are sometimes imprisoned who did not do the crime that they're accused of doing, and it happens way more than we actually think. Now let's get back to this story right here. So the court heard that Matthew Sewell, a Jamaican who was only 18 years at the time, he arrived in the Bahamas June of 2006, and he was there in the Bahamas to visit his father when he was arrested a couple of days after he had arrived on a charge of raping a minor. He was 18 years old. He just went to the Bahamas to go visit his dad. And they grabbed him and they charged him with rape, and they said he raped a minor. He spent 2 years on remand until he was given bail in May of 2008. But he was arrested again on April of 2009, a few months later, on another rape charge, and he was remanded in prison until he got bail on August of 2013. Again, both rape complaints were later dismissed, as in they found out that it was wrong, it was a lie, he didn't do it, all that other stuff. Now in 2013, he was arrested again. This time he was arrested for murder and housebreaking. Murder and housebreaking. I'm going to tell you the truth, right? At this point, I'm trying to get out of Bahamas like how them Haitians be trying to flee Haiti and be ending up in Jamaica on the beach, because the first thing smoking or the first thing floating, I'm on it. They done arrested this man for rape like 3 times, and then they arrested him for murder again on top of that because they couldn't get him for the rape charges. All the rape charges were dismissed. They arrested him again, this time for murder and housebreaking. When he appeared in court, the murder charge that they arrested him for was dropped immediately because he was incarcerated at the time of the murder. This is the biggest alibi that you can have in the world. It was like, I don't know who his father did something to in the Bahamas, but they were out to get his ass. Or maybe because he was young and he was Jamaican and they really didn't like him there, so they were like, yo, we got to get him the hell up out of here. Or here is a good scapegoat that we could pin something on. But them grab the man, arrest the man so many times. I'm counting 5, 6 arrests already. 5 arrests, 6 different charges already in the space of just a couple of months to a couple of years, right? And these are some serious charges. Rape, murder, housebreaking. Soon as he appeared in court, the murder charge was dropped. The murder charge dropped. The biggest alibi in the world. This is what you call a sealed concrete alibi that cannot be broken. Where were you on the day of January 13, 2013, blah, 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 and you're like, I was in jail. I was locked up. I was incarcerated for another crime that you accused me of that I did not do. And then they go check their records and they're like, oh, there he is right there. Yeah, we took his picture and fingerprints and everything. He was right here in cell number 7 and he was here for blah, 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 X amount of time. He then pled not guilty to the housebreaking charge since they dropped the murder charge. But he remained in prison until that charge was dismissed in 2014. So almost a year later, they dismissed the housebreaking charge as well. The court then issued 2 discharge certificates to Sewell, but he was arrested a month later again, and he was transferred to Carmichael Road Detention Center. In October of 2015, a judge granted what is called the writ of habeas corpus. Learning from the Vybz Kartel trial, we know now fully what the habeas corpus, the writ of habeas corpus means. Basically, it means produce the corpse or produce the body. All right? Now, during this trial, Sewell told the courts that during his time in prison, he himself was raped, that he was beaten, and he was bitten by a rat, and he had to share an 8x8 cell with other prisoners, and he had to defecate in a bucket, and he had to use a bread bag also. Similar to the story that Vybz Kartel told. Not the part about being raped, but the part about having to defecate in a bucket and use a scandal bag as well. Damn. Mind you, they started putting this young man through the system at 18 years old. When you're 18 and you've been sheltered and you grew up soft and you have good parents and mommy is like, put him on a plane and send him to go see his daddy in the Bahamas, and he gets to the Bahamas and then the first thing they do is rape, arrest, rape, arrest, rape, arrest, housebreaking, murder, arrest. And all these are getting dropped. The charges are getting dismissed because it's being proven that it's not you. We have a saying in Jamaica, right? Your name wouldn't call so much time if it's not true. If it's not gosso, it close to gosso. This is why I be telling people a lot of the times that some of the times those kind of stuff we have to get rid of it. Because look how many times they arrested this young man. Look how much stuff he went through. And all of it, and each and every single time that it happened to him, it wasn't him. The court issued 2 discharge certificates to Sewell, and he was granted a month later and transferred to the Carmichael Road Detention Center in October of 2015. We are in 2024, my friend. A judge granted the writ of habeas corpus in 2015. Now, during his trial, Sewell told the courts that during his time in lockup, he himself got raped because the prisoners there did not like rapists, and they degraded and did terrible things to anybody who came in there with a rape charge. But remember, it wasn't him that did it. He was raped, he was beaten, he was bitten by rats, and he had to share a cell that was 8x8, 8 feet tall, 8 feet wide by 8 feet wide with other prisoners. You know how small that space is? And then you got to defecate doo-doo in a bucket and a bread bag. Because they don't have sanitary conditions in there. No flushing toilets in your cell or on the cell block. You shitting in a bucket and you shitting in a bread bag. He said that he was beaten by the police as well. He was beaten by prison officers. And he was beaten by other prisoners and defense force officers. And they all treated him like shite, and they beat him, and they had him raped, and they had him mistreated in there. I guess it's because, for one, you not Bahamian, you Jamaican, and you coming over here to the Bahamas, bringing all that effery from Jamaica with you. Mind you, it's been proven every single time that it was not him. Now, in a ruling last week, we talking about 2015, Fast forward to 2024. In a ruling last week, just recently, is when he heard. The court noted that the court was amenable to accepting the stated difficulties of the Attorney General office had in mounting its defense and complying with the court's direction. However, it came to a point where the inability of the defendant's counsel to comply with the court's directions and their failure to even secure a witness statement from one or the other of the defendants left the court no other alternative but to accede to the plaintiff's application to strike out the defense. In plain and simple terms, I'll explain what that means in a minute. Of special note for the plaintiff was that the defendant, during the many delays, never even offered an apology. This, no doubt, was reflective of the behavior of the servants, of the agents, of the defendant, is what the court ruled. They violated this man in the worst way possible, and they kept passing him through the system and through the system and through the system. And when he was ordered to be let go, they moved him to another facility and they did not let him go. So he got raped and he got beaten and he got hurt in the process, living in messed up conditions all along. By the time it was time for them to let him go, with all the wrongdoing they had done to him, they didn't even say, "We're sorry, we apologize," nothing. The Supreme Court noted that before his first arrest, he was a young 18-year-old of good character, and then he found himself in some unfamiliar surroundings, facing some incredible odds. He was a student, he was intellectual, he was well-mannered, he was very respectful and respected. He wasn't a street kid. He had nothing to his record. He wasn't known to give any problems or anything. Just a good youth going about his business until he met the security forces in the Bahamas, who grabbed him up and put him into a situation where he was forced to sink or swim. He was forced to survive. The court then noted that the evidence of Mr. Sewell's injuries is incontrovertible, adding that he suffered instances of facial injuries. It's documented how they would beat him and bust up his face. Multiple facial fractures. Hold up. We're not talking about just getting hit in the face and the face is swollen. We're talking about his jaw being broken. We're talking about his eye socket being broken or fractured. We're talking about his face getting beat in. Permanent scarring to his face, leg injuries, and serious short-term food poisonings, all documented in the process of what this young man had to go through and endure. Not to mention the injuries from his rape is also documented. Sewell has also been diagnosed with schizophrenia and post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, this is a young man that had no schizophrenia issues before he went in to the prison in the Bahamas, and he had no post-traumatic stress, nothing. He was a happy-go-lucky young man visiting the Bahamas, going to look for his dad, and got grabbed up by the security forces. Their documentation says his diagnosis of schizophrenia and post-traumatic stress disorder all are caused by the long incarceration and the mistreatment, and which is supported by reports by a medical doctor, Wendell Abel, and a consultant psychiatrist at the University of the West Indies Hospital of Mona in Jamaica. Sewell was awarded interest at 6.25%, He was awarded 173,970 US dollars in special damages, and then he was awarded 594,666 US dollars and 66 cents for false imprisonment and assault and battery. He was also awarded another US $378,000 in damages for future care because of his post-traumatic stress disorder, the injuries to his body, and the psychological damage that has caused by this situation, which he will definitely have to get help for. 144,881 US dollars and 72 cents for psychiatric and psychological damages. 250,000 US dollars for malicious prosecution. Another 120,000 US dollars in damages for the breach of his constitutional rights and vindicatory and compensatory damages. In total, he was awarded $2,011,578 US dollars and 38 cents. Man, this is like, his story leaves me shocked. But not only does it leave me shocked, it leaves me convinced, and knowing what I already know, that there are a lot of young people out there, men and women, mostly men though, who did not do what it is that they said that they did, that they're being accused of. It's one thing to tell people, especially young people, listen, watch the friends you keep. Because my granny said friends will take you places that you can't even bring yourself back from. Watch the friends you keep. Watch the company you keep. Watch the places you let your feet lead you. Because you'll get in trouble. You'll end up in prison on life sentence and all that. It's one thing to say he was in bad company and he was following some bad company of some youths who was doing some bad things. But in his particular case, this man wasn't following any company. He didn't have no friends. He was a visitor to the island of the Bahamas from another island, which is Jamaica. And he was there with a purpose to visit his father. One of the youths, them that grow up a little bit privileged, get the chance to fly to other Caribbean islands. You'll be surprised to know how many Jamaicans grow up without ever getting on a plane to go see another Caribbean island. So he was well-rounded, from a well-rounded family, with people that loved and cared for him. You could imagine what his mama thought or what his family thought when he started going through all this. And they're like, nah. For rape? For who? Nah. He 18 years old. He over there to visit. Are you for real? Nah. And then rape again. And then rape again. And then murder. And then house breaking. And then all these charges are dropped. Because they have solid airtight alibi that one of the false accusations that you had him locked up on, he was actually locked up while you were cooking up new allegations of murder and housebreaking. It seems, I don't know what they did to somebody over there, but that right there, I think his story needs to be investigated further to figure out what the hell and how all that happened. But it also goes to show, prison, easy to get into, hard as hell to get out of, especially when they got a vendetta against you and they want you in there. Damn it, man. I can't even say welcome home to the brother, but welcome home, man. And I hope you use that little money there, because that money, even though it's a lot of money, 2 million US dollars, 2.5 million US dollars, but for the amount of pain and suffering that you had to endure to get that money, I'm sure any one of us would have, if we were given a chance and somebody said, go do 10 years in prison, get raped, get beat up, broke your jawbone, fracture your forehead, your skull, your head back, frig up your 2 legs, all that. And when you get out, I got $2.5 million waiting on you. I think 99.9999% of us would say, oh, hell no. I'm broke right now, but I'm good. I'm gonna want no money there. So I'm sure he would have given back every damn penny just to have his life back at how his life was going at 18 years old. Could you imagine how many dreams and aspirations this young man had for himself? Could you imagine? At 18 is when you really, really start to dream big because you're approaching that place where you become independent more. This is the nobody can really talk to me stage because I'm getting to be a man now. So I can start to pursue my dreams fully now. And you can either get on board or get out my way now. But instead, he was railroaded to prison. And the sad thing is, it wasn't in the U.S., because the U.S. has a aggressive prison system. It wasn't in the U.S. It was another Caribbean island that this happened to. You know, this could lead me to a whole nother conversation about how Bahamians feel about Jamaicans and Jamaica and Jamaican culture and so on and so forth. Just like how they've had those conversations about Haitians versus Jamaicans, about this island versus that island. But I'll save that one for another video. What I want y'all to do is leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this situation. Think about this young man here as your father. I mean, not your father, but as your brother, because he went in at 18 years old. Think about him as your brother. Think about him as your favorite nephew or your cousin who you grew up playing with and so on and so forth. And put the same intent towards the answer that you leave in the comment section below. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Y'all be careful out there. The world ain't as it seems, man. And everything that glitters ain't gold. I'll catch y'all in the next video. I'm out. Peace.